Hi there, I'm Adam McDowell reporting for the National Post. I'm here at the Power Plant Gallery in Toronto talking to economist Don Thompson about his new book, The $12 Million Stuffed Shark, The Curious Economics of Contemporary Art. Welcome, Don. How are you doing?
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Tell us a little bit, first of all, about your background.
Well, I'm a professor at the Schulich School of Business at York University, and I teach marketing and strategy, and that's sort of the background that took me into writing the book.
Well, what made you want to write a book about contemporary art?
Well, mostly curiosity. I've collected contemporary art on a much more modest basis than the art discussed in the book for many years. And for many years, I've gone to contemporary art evening auctions at Sotheby's and Christie's in New York and London. And I think anybody who's had that experience has three major questions. Why is this art? And I'm never going to be answered that. I'm not an art critic. But secondly, who determines which artists, the 100th of 1% of artists who make it to this level and earn this money? And thirdly, why is this art worth 10 times or 100 times what I think it should be?
What kind of conclusions did you come to?
The most insightful comment I got was from a man named Harry Rukowski, who is the director of Bonhams in London. And he said, never underestimate how insecure buyers of contemporary art are in their own judgment. How much they need reassurance. And the reassurance comes from branded artists or branded dealers or branded auction houses. If you have a dot painting on your wall and you say, I paid £300,000 for this, people might laugh at you. But if you say, this is my Damien Hirst, they will say, you are a man of cutting-edge taste. And if you say, this is my Damien Hirst that I bought at Sotheby's evening auction, they will say you're a man of exquisite taste and rich.
Well, yeah, what kind of people are paying so much money, these huge sums that we hear about for contemporary art?
Many buyers choose to be anonymous for, if nothing else, the obvious reason that they would be signaling how much money they have in their homes available to thieves, I guess.
You write a lot in the book about people like Andy Warhol, Jeff Koons, Damien Hirst, Tracy Emin, people who are real self-promoters.
Oh, yes.
Is it necessary to be that much of a self-promoter in art now?
The characteristic of, not of Tracy Emin, but of the other three people you mentioned are twofold. One is they're great marketers. Damien Hirst and his manager are the smartest art marketers in the world. Andy Warhol was a magnificent self-promoter. The other characteristic is they don't make their own art. Their art is made by technicians. The book is called The $12 Million Stuffed Shark. And there really was a $12 million stuffed shark. Conceived by a British artist named Damien Hirst. Hirst didn't catch the shark. He didn't taxidermy the shark. He didn't mount the shark. He conceived of it. So his shark is worth $12 million. It's branded as a Damien Hirst.
Is $12 million a good price for a stuffed shark by Damien Hirst?
Well, the remarkable thing about that price is that, of course, there's no shortage value to sharks. Damien has now produced and sold 9 sharks, and he has 2 more in the freezer in London. So there isn't any scarcity value. This is not a Rose Period Picasso, which you buy for $100 million because there will never be another major one come up for auction in our lifetime. But there will be more sharks. Now, having said that, the shark was bought by a very smart, very rich New York investment banker. To your earlier question, who buys these? Investment bankers, people in the financial business, buy a lot of it.
Now, shouldn't the fact that these works of art aren't scarce mean that they're not worth what they're selling for? I mean, does this confound your expectations that people will spend so much money on?
Well, everybody who reads these prices in your newspaper says, why? Why is this? The answer is there was a willing buyer and a willing seller, and this was the price that was arrived at in an auction.
Do you think the economy is hurting the art market? Do you think the bubble is bursting?
Several things happen. One is that when there's uncertainty, people back away. There's uncertainty about the market, but there's also the general conception that the art market, the middle market at least, is overpriced, and the balloon will, if not blow up, at least deflate. And so you back off. Nobody wants to be seen to pay too much for what they buy. So people were backing off. The auctions in London last weekend were the worst in terms of results since probably 1991.
Do you think that's going to spread to other auctions and devalue a lot of artists?
Probably yes. The assumption is the middle market, everything but museum quality art would contract considerably. Now what considerably is, the prices in London for things that did sell were down about 30%, but half the works didn't sell. Now, what we always assumed was that the top 20% of the market, the museum quality art would hold up. It would hold up because there are about 100 new contemporary art museums in the world that are acquiring art, and will each over years acquire 2,000 pieces of art. The four major ones, two in Abu Dhabi, one in another one in the United Arab Emirates, and one in Qatar, will between them acquire about 500 pieces of art, museum quality contemporary art a year. And we thought that would prop up the market, but in London it didn't. What apparently happened was that these museums were coming back to the auction house and saying, these works failed, because we didn't bid on them. We're prepared to offer the consignor 20% below your minimum if they'd like to sell.
Should people then be looking in the next couple of years to maybe invest in contemporary art because it's at a low point? I mean, like say if a $8 million stuffed shark comes up, is that a good buy?
I'm not sure I'd buy an $8 million stuffed shark. The other things that will happen, but we don't know to what degree yet, is that people who are having financial problems will dump art on the market. And there will be bargains there. There will be deals to be had.
You talked to a lot of people as you were researching this book, and I'm wondering if any of them said that they were unhappy that the money gets talked about so much rather than the art itself. Is that a sentiment that's out there?
Well, not among artists and not among auction house specialists or dealers. That's notably true among museum directors.
With all the money that is around for artists, some artists, is it a good time? Should we be telling our kids to go be an artist, make a lot of money?
As I discussed in the book, there are 40,000 artists in each of New York and London at any given time looking for gallery representation. There are in each city 30 or 35 galleries that you want to be represented by. The dealer is the window to the world of serious collectors and publicity. If you don't get an artist who doesn't get involved with a serious dealer, with at least a mainstream dealer, has no chance. Now, each of those dealers will take on 2 or 3 new artists a year. So that's, in each city, 60 to 90 slots for 40,000 people.
So what is the way in then, if not to be an artist?
If you want to be an artist, that's the way in. You get started and you hope to get lucky.
You, in the book, I didn't feel like you were picking any particular favorites among artists. You were writing about ones that market themselves well, but I didn't get a sense of your opinion. I'm wondering if you could tell me who some of your personal favorites are.
I go to an art show and I look for something that touches my soul, that I want to live with, that I'd like to put on my wall and get up and see every morning. And that's what you try and acquire. It's the visceral feeling. It's something that speaks to you, although you may not understand it, and not the artist. And that's the best way to look at art.